The assassin.
You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest. You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest.
What up, y'all? You're listening to Sports Talk with Tropp, and I'm your host, Katie Tropp. Well, welcome to the Dallas Cowboys. Quinnen Williams, he showed out in his very first game as a Dallas Cowboy since the trade from the New York Jets to the Cowboys, and it turned out great. He actually had 1.5 sacks, made a huge impact on the defense. Actually saw a huge change in the defense, not only just because of him, but we also got Overshown back. We've got a couple of defensive backs who are also back from injury, and the team is just starting to take shape at a really good time because, yes, I know it's a long shot for them to really do anything, but hey, I kind of feel like the Cowboys are at least going to give me something to cheer for every single week just because they do look pretty solid now at defense. Obviously, that was just against the Raiders, who played a horrific game, but even so, Dak Prescott had an amazing game, 25 for 33, 268 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And all 4 touchdowns went to different guys. One went to CD, one went to George Pickens, who, man, has been making some insane cuts and plays and just extending plays and first downs and just really making a huge impact offensively. Ferguson also had a touchdown, and then Flournoy had a touchdown as well, and a Dallas Cowboys win over the Las Vegas Raiders 33-16. So moving on to my top 10 NFL power rankings for this week. We have us a new number one just because that's how this season has been. It has been parity all around. That's why I'm saying the Cowboys at least have a shot at least making it the playoffs, simply because there really is yet to be a standout team. And it feels like every single week I put a new number one because something different happens every single week. When it feels like one team's playing consistent, then they fall off. And then a new team steps it up and then they fall off. And that's just kind of been the theme of the season for the most part. So the new number one this week is the Los Angeles Rams. Overall record of 8-2. They are on a 5-game winning streak right now. And it's just, I feel like they're playing all around team ball. Offensively, they look solid. They could score at any given moment. And then defensively, they are really taking care of business. As a matter of fact, defensively, they got 27 sacks on the season, 10 forced fumbles, and 10 interceptions. And they are just really, really getting at the quarterback, really making things difficult for an opposing offense. And then Matthew Stafford's having an MVP-type season, 2,557 yards, 27 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. He's really, not only is he making the big plays, but he's also playing mistake-free football. I mean, He's kind of been that dude where he's a gunner, where he's kind of like Brett Favre, where he'll just throw a bunch of passes and sometimes there'll be interceptions. But this season, he's been really on point, really having zero issues. And I just really like what I'm seeing from this Rams team. I just kind of feel like they seem to be the NFC team that's taking shape, taking form, and looking to be more of a front runner. But then I say that, and then it's like they might lay an egg this upcoming week, and then we have a new number one next week. But right now, it's the Rams. At least in my opinion. Then at number 2, we have on my top 10 NFL power rankings of the Philadelphia Eagles. Overall record of 8-2, and it's really just this team keeps on winning. And it's really, they do all the little things. They win in different ways, but defensively, they are suffocating, and their defense keeps them in it, and their defense makes the big plays. Their defense has blocked kicks throughout this season. Their defense has made the sacks when they need to. Their defense has made the turnovers when they need to. Their defense scores touchdowns if they need to. And it's really just the defense keeps them in it, and then the offense is just able to do enough to score some points. And it doesn't matter if they lull you to sleep each and every game, they still keep on winning. And I mean, honestly, the only reason why I didn't put them above the Rams is because the Rams are on the 5-game winning streak. But really, the Eagles have probably been the most consistent team this season, and they just keep on winning. Then at number 3 in my top 10 NFL power rankings of the Denver Broncos, overall record of 9-2, and they are on an 8-game winning streak. And this is another team that's just completely driven by defense. First of all, they lead the league in sacks with 49 sacks. They have 6 forced fumbles, 6 interceptions, and this defense really does carry them. The defense really keeps them in it. The defense is why their offense is able to come back in these fourth quarters that they've had a few times throughout this season. And I don't know how much longer it's going to last. That's kind of why I can't put them at number one, even though they're on an 8-game winning streak. There's still a lot of things about this offense that I see that are just not buttoned up. And I just kind of feel like once the playoffs hit, I wouldn't be shocked if this is a one-and-done team, just because they do have issues on the offensive side of the ball and they get behind quick. And it's like if they go up against a really good team and they get behind too far, that's going to be an issue, especially if you go up against a team like, this is just an example, like the Indianapolis Colts. Let's say they're down against the Indianapolis Colts, and it's the Colts. If the Colts just keep on handing off the ball to Jonathan Taylor, he could just keep pounding, grounding and pounding, and just keep on getting them in scoring position or scoring touchdowns himself. And that just becomes a problem in the end. So I feel like at some point that's going to be an issue for Denver. But until it is, they just keep on winning, and that is why they keep on winning this, because this defense is stout, and they just keep them in it for all 4 quarters. Then at number 4 in my top 10 NFL power rankings of the Indianapolis Colts, overall record of 8-2. Jonathan Taylor still leads the league in rushing with 1,139 yards and 15 touchdowns on the season. He just seems to just break off chunk plays like no other. It feels like he is busting off 20-plus yards almost every time he touches the ball. But you really can't sleep on this Indianapolis Colts defense. They've got 29 sacks on the season, 10 interceptions, and 4 forced fumbles. So they're really taking care of business on the defensive side of the ball, playing really a balanced football. On the offensive side of the ball, Daniel Jones is really distributing the ball to all of his receivers. He doesn't really have a favorite guy. Kind of feels like a new guy steps it up. It's really just Jonathan Taylor driven. So if he has a good game, you know this Colts team is having a good game. And they really just keep on flying. I kind of feel about them, though, as I feel about the Denver Broncos. There's still something about them where I'm like, yeah, are they for real? But, I mean, obviously, they're playing really, really solid football. And Jonathan Taylor, obviously one of the top guys in this league right now. And he's playing MVP-type football. But we all know they're not going to give the MVP to Jonathan Taylor. Then at number 5 on my top 10 NFL power rankings of the New England Patriots, over a record of 9-2, and they are also on an 8-game winning streak. And Drake May is just playing some really solid football right now. He's got 2,836 yards passing on the season. By the way, that leads the league, so that just says a lot about what this dude is doing for the offense. He's got 20 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions, so he's playing just really smart football. Not only really solid football, but smart football, and that's really kind of the thing. He's distributing the ball as well to many different guys. He has yet to really key in on one receiver. The running back position is obviously helping him as well, and then the defense is really stepping it up. But, I mean, for the most part, this is pretty much a Drake May-led team, and he is just having a phenomenal year so far. So are the New England Patriots, and they just are dominating their division, even though the Bills are right on their ass. But still, the New England Patriots, it kind of feels like every game they're ready to play, and they really haven't had a bad game just yet, even in their 2 losses. Just kind of feels like they're in it. And it just feels like they're in it and just playing really excellent football all season long. Then at number 6 on my top 10 NFL power rankings at the Buffalo Bills, overall record of 7-3. And Josh Allen, speaking of MVP, he is the reigning MVP and continuing to have another MVP type season with 2,456 yards passing, 18 touchdowns passing, 7 interceptions, and then 351 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns rushing as well. So he's got 28 total touchdowns on the season and really just blowing it up. But then also defensively, they are knocking them out. 11 forced fumbles, 7 interceptions, 26 sacks. So they're really taking care of business on both sides of the ball. My problem really with the Buffalo Bills is just the receiver position. It kind of feels like if one receiver just doesn't have a good game, then nobody steps it up, and then it's just all on Josh Allen and Cook. And just sometimes those guys are going to have a bad game, and it's like they need a receiver who's a number 1 go-to guy, and they have yet to find that number 1 go-to guy who can make big plays for them down the stretch. Then at number 7 on my top 10 NFL power rankings of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, overall record of 6-4, and it's just all Baker Mayfield still. 2,365 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. So even though it's all on his shoulders, he's really playing a mistake-free football, and the rest of his offense is just bruised and battered and obliterated. The offensive line, it kind of feels like there's a new guy getting injured every single week. Then it's just rotating receivers. It feels like he gets a new guy back, another guy gets injured, and it just feels like it's just all him. And even though it is just all him, it's still working. And then you turn to the defensive side of the ball, and they are really taking care of business there. They're making the big plays when they have to. They're making the sacks when they have to. They're suffocating the quarterbacks in the backfield and making big plays. It just kind of feels like at some point the injuries are going to catch up to them. And that's kind of what I feel like happened in the Buffalo game, where it was just a battle back and forth between Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, and just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just didn't have enough juice like the Buffalo Bills did. And sometimes that's what the injuries are going to do. They're going to cost you in some of those close games. And that's kind of what I feel like happened with the Bucs in this one. But still a very good team, and Baker Mayfield having an amazing year. Then at number 8 on my top 10 NFL power rankings are the Detroit Lions. Overall record of 6-4. And just the thing with this team is they're total front runners. I mean, if they do not come out and score on basically every single drive and it's a close game, they're going to have issues. I'm not saying they can't have comebacks and that they, even if it's a close game, they won't win. No, they've actually got a great shot at winning. It's just the games that they've lost, they've had a difficult time getting back in it, and it's because they weren't out in front. And that's just kind of their theme of the season. If they're not out in front, and if you just throw Jared Goff off the script just a little bit, then the offense is in disarray, and it just never really gets going. And even if you have a bunch of talented guys making big plays at some point, it just isn't working for them a lot. I could just tell the close games have not really been what Detroit's been all about. They've just are that front runner team. They got to keep scoring. But with that being said, they're still a good team. It's just, I kind of feel like that's their issue right now. It's just they're front runners and really haven't been able to make a big comeback when it's necessary. Then at number 9 on my top 10 NFL power rankings, a team that's been having a really, really good year, and they kind of feel like they're finally starting to find their identity, and that is the Chicago Bears. Overall record of 7-3, and they've really just popped off this season, and they're doing exactly what I thought they were going to do. I felt like they were going to start off slow, and then as the season wore on, they were going to start to find their identity, and that's what they've been doing. They've already had like 4 or 5 comebacks where they've been completely down and out, and they've made the comeback and ended up walking away with the win. You could tell on offense, Caleb Williams is really starting to feel himself, really starting to become more confident every single game, even in the losses. And he's starting to key in on receivers and really just starting to make smarter plays. And then you can also tell that Ben Johnson is starting to get creative with it, do some flea flickers or just random offensive plays that you really just wouldn't expect. But then, of course, this is what we would call a typical Chicago Bears defense as well. 21 sacks on the season, 15 interceptions on the season, and 8 forced fumbles. So that's one of the reasons why this team is able to keep in it in all those close games, is because this defense really does make big plays. They've made some turnovers when it's necessary. They've caused some sacks when it's necessary, and really just keep their offense in it. And the offense does just enough, and they come up with enough trick plays to just get some scores and get into scoring position. And the Chicago Bears are actually at the top of their division right now. Who would have thought? In a division with the Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, and even the Minnesota Vikings. You know, the Vikings are having a terrible year, but last year they won the division and they were one of the top teams in the NFC. And here they are at the bottom of the division, and it's like, who would have thought the Chicago Bears would be at the top, playing solid football? And they just keep it moving too. It feels like every single week they are not scared, and they're stepping it up every time and just making the big plays when they have to. And then rounding out the top 10 NFL power rankings this week, at the Seattle Seahawks, overall record of 7-3. And with them, it's just, they go as Sam Darnold goes. And if Darnold has a game where he is just on, then they are on. If he has a game where he is off, like this last one, well, then it could cost them. The 4 interceptions, and the thing about Darnold is he's a good bounce back guy. Even though he threw 4 interceptions in the last game, they were still in it because he still has that mindset of who gives a fuck. Let me just go out there and it's just keep it moving, and eventually we'll get in a rhythm. And they did, but they fell short in that close game. But even so, JSN is having a phenomenal year with 1,146 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. But it's all about the Seattle Seahawks defense. They got 32 sacks on the season, 9 interceptions, and 4 forced fumbles. They've even scored a few touchdowns, and they just make really big plays when necessary. And that's actually why they're another one of those teams where they just stay in it because their defense just plays so stout down the stretch and just keeps their offense in it all the way until the bitter end. All right, so moving on to our Thursday night football matchup this week, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. Right now, the Bills are a 3.5-point favorite, and still don't know if C.J. Stroud is going to play this week. I kind of feel like probably not, just because it's a Thursday night football game, so they'll probably want to give him a little bit more rest. They seem to be playing pretty well without him. I mean, obviously they could use him. But, they've stuck in it. But I kind of feel like it doesn't matter who's at quarterback for this one, because I just feel like the Bills are going to roll through in this one and just have no issues. I feel like the Bills, they're a much better team. Houston has yet to find any type of rhythm on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they are really good, but I just kind of feel like Buffalo is going to be way too much on both offense and defense for Houston in this one, and I just feel like it's going to be all Buffalo all night. I've got the Bills winning big, 31-10. And then moving on to the college football playoff, a little bit of a shakeup here because we had one team who was ranked pretty high last week. They suffered a loss this week and tumbled all the way down to 10. But overall, it's pretty much the same teams here. And now we only have a couple games left with each and every team for their regular season. Then we'll have the conference championships. And then ultimately we'll get to the college football playoff. But we're pretty much down the stretch here, and I kind of feel like there's not going to be a lot of changes over the next couple of weeks. So, and there's still, number one still remains Ohio State at 10-0. Number 2, Indiana at 11-0. Number 3, Texas A&M at 10-0. And I mean, they just keep winning in totally different ways. They came back, they made a 28 point comeback against South Carolina over the weekend. So that's just kind of what I'm saying about A&M. Is I feel like they deserve to be ranked number 1 because they're great on the defensive side of the ball. They're great on the offensive side of the ball. And they've also just won in different ways. They've had to win with special teams. They've had to win with offense. They've had to win with defense. They've had to make the big plays when necessary. They've won big. They've won close games. They've beat good teams. They've beat terrible teams. And I just kind of feel like, yes, I understand why you would keep Ohio State at 1. But at the same time, the strength of schedule and just kind of the way A&M is playing, they should be number 1, but they're still number 3. Then at number 4 is Georgia. They're 9-1 on the season. Number 5, Texas Tech. They're 10-1. Number 6, Ole Miss is 10-1. Number 7, Oregon is 9-1, and they actually have a big game coming up this weekend against number 15, USC. Then at number 8, we have Oklahoma, 8-2, and they just moved up 3 spots because they took down Alabama 23-21 over the weekend. Then at number 9, we have Notre Dame at 8-2, and then the team that took the biggest tumble all the way down to 10 is Alabama at 8-2. Like I just said, they lost to Oklahoma in a close one, and like I said, that's the thing about the SEC. The SEC is going to keep on beating each other up, except for Texas A&M. Texas A&M is passing the test each and every single time. That's why I just cannot believe, because you know what, if Alabama was Texas A&M right now, Alabama would be ranked number 1, and they would give them the exact same arguments that I'm giving you to tell you about A&M and how they've won in different ways. They beat good teams, they beat terrible teams, and they're just so good that I feel like they should be number 1. And if that was Alabama at where Texas A&M is at, they would be number 1, just because everybody gives them the Alabama clout. But since A&M, they've never won a damn thing, they don't want to give them any type of respect. And it's like, I get it, they got to earn it. But at the same time, how has this 10-0 team, who has won in a bunch of different ways, ranked number 3? I just don't get it. And I'm making arguments for a team that I absolutely hate. So just know that. But I just don't understand how Texas A&M is at number 3. They should be number 1. They are the best team in college football. And I'm almost practically rooting for them to win the national championship just so I could be proven right about that, because I just don't understand how they haven't even come close to being a number 1 team. And the only reason why I think is because they're Texas A&M and they just haven't quote earned the respect. But I just kind of feel like it doesn't matter what they've done in the past. It should matter what they've done this season. And this season, all they've done is kick ass and take names, and they should be ranked number 1. But I digress. All right, y'all, enjoy the rest of the week of sports, and I will talk to you on Friday.